Hello everyone, my name is John Michael Bushman and welcome back to Magic the Gathering, the Pauper set review. This is something that I do now every like month or so, depending on when a new set gets released, for Magic the Gathering. But yeah, it's not obvious right now, but I am super excited for Lord of the Rings for 60 card formats in particular because they have a lot. They have given a lot of new toys, surprisingly good ones at that, for the commons only format. And as much as I want to actually go over the other stuff in this set, and there are a lot of really good cards that are coming out of this set, even in the higher rarity, but I mostly focus on Pauper because it's the competitive format in Magic the Gathering that I like to play. So without further ado, we have 108 cards to go over, and let's see which ones are chaff and which ones are actually playable. So the first four here, Banished from Edoras. This is the one that I haven't seen yet, and as of the recording of this video, everything has been previewed by this point, so I'm hopefully not missing anything unless it's like some significant reprint that is seen only in the commander decks. But starting it off, I'm Banished from Edoras, a 4 and a white for a sorcery, and I am already stopping right there. I mean, it costs 2 less to cast if it targets a tapped creature, so this is definitely draft fodder. And basically, the first four here, they're all mostly draft fodder. But Eagles of the North is something that I can potentially see getting played in cheeky reanimator decks, if they can even do so. I mean, 6 mana is a lot to cast, even for 6 mana for a 3/3 is like asking for too much. So I'm pretty sure there are more efficient targets than this to reanimate. Although the plane cycling can do some things, but otherwise, no. Let's see if I can make it even bigger. No, I cannot. All right, we're gonna stick to 4. Right, let's move on to the next row. Eastmark Cavalier, 1 mana 2/2. It's fine. I mean, it's an on curve blocker at least. It has vigilance, and then has a very flavorful ability that whenever it deals damage to a goblin or an orc, you just straight up destroy that creature. And take note, if it deals any form of damage, so even non-combat damage, you basically give it an equipment that allows it to deal damage to anything. Boom, you can just like clear a lot of goblins and orcs with this guy. But that's a jank builder's dream, and I am unfortunately not one of those guys. Next, we have Errand Rider of Gondor, 2 and a white for a 3/2. When he enters the battlefield, draw a card, and if you don't control a legendary creature, put a card from your hand to the bottom of your library. That is, ooh. Ors of Ephemerate decks might actually want to get this guy, because if he enters the battlefield just straight, I mean, ignoring the second sentence, 3 mana 3 to draw a card. I mean, that's actually really damn good. And in the Pauper format where there are no legendary creatures, this is like, for me at least, this is good hand filtering. Next, we have Escape from Orthanc. I hope that's how I'm pronouncing it. This is when Gandalf was being carried away by the one of the eagles, one of the great eagles, if I remember correctly. Target creature, yep, it's a battle trick, and it just untaps the creature. So feathered, every time a new set comes out, feather players are always looking for the battle tricks. It's either feather players or basically any deck that cares about combat tricks. They always look to like essentially draft chaff and see if like it'll be good for their deck or not. But this might see play because it gives like a very big boost to toughness, and it even untaps, so it's pseudo vigilance. Watch out for this one in decks that can support it. Next, we have Esquire of the King, a 1 mana 1/1, and it has a tap ability where for 4 and a white, creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. This ability costs 2 less to cast if you control a legendary creature. So, right now, I'm noticing that the draft format for this set is concerns a lot with legendary creatures, and in the proper format there are no legendary creatures, so this is essentially a 6 mana anthem. No. No. Next, we have Fog on the Barrow Downs, a 2 and white enchantment, and It turns a creature into a spirit that cannot attack or block, and it has a poem. Cold be hand and heart and bone, and cold be sleep under stone. Never more to wake on stony bed, never till the sun fails and the moon is dead. Otherwise, this is a really bad card. This is draft chaff if I ever saw one. Next, Hobbit Sting. This is, yeah. One for the Shire, cried Aragorn. The Hobbit's bite is deep. You have a good blade, Frodo, son of Drogo. Yeah, I think this is the moment where. Wait, I don't remember this. I think this was in Osgiliath when they were in Osgiliath. Yeah, this is Frodo wielding the oh god, his sword is a name, but I can't remember it off the top of my head. But let's get to the ability before I start nerding out here. Hobbit Sting deals X damage to target creature. X is the number of creatures you control plus the number of foods you control. Ooh. So food is also a sub theme in the draft format for Lord of the Rings. This is a really good draft bomb if I ever saw one. I mean, granted, my analyses of draft formats is like very subpar because I don't really play the format that often. There are definitely people out there who can analyze these for the draft format better than I will. But for me, Hobbit Sting is a good removal spell, given that what most of the draft archetypes that this set contains has. Keep an eye out for this one when you're drafting, but otherwise, in the Pauper format, there are like far more efficient removal spells. Hell, even something like Destroy Evil from Dominaria United, a card that I didn't really expect to see play, has been seeing play. Solely for the fact that it's a really good counter against like decks that use really big creatures. Specifically, it's a counter against green. Next, we have Nimble Hobbit, a 2 mana 1/3, and when he attacks, you may sacrifice food or pay 2 in a white. If you do, tap. No. This is way too slow and requires too much setup, although granted, it's a really good blocker. And now for Wrath. Now for Ruin. This is the shout that they shouted, yeah, the captains of the West came at last to challenge the Black Gate and the might of Mordor. Yeah, this was the valiant charge that Aragorn led on the Black Gate, and then put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. They gain vigilance until end of turn. The ring tempts you. So yeah, this is the new mechanic that comes out of this set, and I don't know if I will editing me, or rather, I don't know if editing me will put up the ring mechanic up on screen. It's like 2 cards deep in order to be able to explain everything, but basically what it does, it's a safer initiative mechanic, because unlike the initiative, you need a ring bearer for it to advance to each of its levels. And this is a 4 mana anthem, a really damn good one at that, because it puts a +1/+1 counter. It's a permanent buff on all of your creatures, but at 4 mana, that's asking a lot, even for the Pauper format. And although the vigilance is like really good cherry on top, and the ring tempts you, the tempt mechanic is just like it's just a bonus on top of what it already does. It's a really good card for EDH. It's a really good finisher for decks that can support it in EDH, but in Pauper, 4 mana is a bit much. But keep a close eye out on this one. And in draft, this is definitely like one of your finishers for sure. Next, we have Protector of Gondor. I will not read what it does. I mean, it's a 4 mana 3/3, sure, so it's like 4 power spread across like 2 creatures. No. Next, we have Second Breakfast. I mean, if you could have one breakfast, how about second breakfast, right? Um, and then the Hobbits of the Shire were fond of 6 meals a day when they could get them, and second breakfast is one of them. Oh my god, I could literally just be nerding out like as I go through all of these cards. I'm not exactly the biggest Lord of the Rings fan, but I've watched the big 3 movies, and I also put myself through the Hobbit quadrology. Or is it called quadrology, or is it just a trilogy? I don't remember anymore. But I'd rather forget the Hobbit, the Hobbit movies, and just focus on me and those 12 hours I would spend just watching the extended cuts of the original films. Though those were the days. But second breakfast, a battle trick. for 3 mana, and I mean, it comes with the quote unquote upside of creating a food token, but otherwise no. Next, we have Slip on the Rings. Exile target creature you own and return to the battlefield under your control. The ring tempts you. So this is the second card that has the tempt mechanic in white. So they're giving Orzhov Ephemerate a lot of toys here. Unfortunately for me, because I am a Jund player in this format. But it's an instant speed blink. So blink or flicker, those two are used interchangeably. Um, it's really good because it has for one more mana rather than ephemerate something. You ephemerate some, you blink, you flicker slash blink something on top of having the ring tempt you. Like that's pretty goddamn good in my book. Definitely keep an eye out for this one. We'll definitely see it in decks that can run it. Next, we have Soldier of the Grey Host. Flash flying, 4 mana, 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, target creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn. So it's a combat trick, but unfortunately, this will probably be just draft shaft. Next, Stalwarts of Osgiliath. Ah, the city, one of the first cities that fell. Poor guys. 5 mana, 4/3. When it enters the battlefield, the ring tempts you. My god, this is the third card that does that. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Stalwarts of Osgiliath. So this is definitely a more control-based card. Either you could be in blue-white, or you can also be like in Orzhov, because Orzhov also has a lot of good control tools, surprisingly. Yeah, I can definitely see this. Although it dies to lightning bolt. But it there's like other cards that have this effect where whenever you draw a second card, you put a +1/+1 counter on the creature. I can definitely see this seeing play in draft, but I'm not too sure about Pauper. Next, we have Took Reaper. This is the fourth card that when it dies, the ring tempts you. That's it. So you can just deadly dispute it away, and boom, you have something that the ring will tempt you right away. Next, we have Westfold Rider. This is a really, really slow disenchant, and I will definitely not. This will definitely not see play. Next, we move on to the blue cards. We have Arwen's Gift, a 4 mana scry 2, draw 2, and it costs 1 less to cast if you control 2 or more legendary creatures. So for 3 mana, you scry 2, draw 2. No. This will definitely say in like budget EDH decks, because blue players can never truly have enough card draw effects, but in Pauper, probably not. Next, we have Bewitching Leechcraft. Wait, is that this is Grima Wormtongue, if I remember correctly. This can. Oh wait, no, yeah. This is Theoden. Yeah, this is definitely Theoden. Let's see what it does. Enchanted creature, and there's about to tap enchanted creature. Enchanted creature has, if this creature would untap during untap step, remove a +1/+1 counter from the set. If you do untap it, but if you don't have any counters, it's permanently tapped down. Hey, it's actually nice. But I think it's a little, well, given that a lot of like cards in this set give +1/+1 counters, it would just very easily untap it. But in the actual Pauper format, this is just, go to sleep, don't wake up. Because not every deck has +1/+1 counters, unless of course you're facing off against an initiative deck, in which case they will have +1/+1 counters, but it's like very few and far in between. And Dimir Terror doesn't use counters, so you can use this, but otherwise, probably not. Next, we have Birthday Escape. Draw a card, and the ring tempts you. 1 mana, draw 1. You can never have enough of it, and it even has the upside of tempting you with the ring. Cool. I can definitely see it as seeing play. It's basically a card that replaces itself. What could you want? Next, we have Captain of Amba. Captain of Amba, a 3 mana 2/3. That's a looter. I mean, cool. We'll definitely need more of those, and it's a good blocker, yes, but it dies to freaking lightning bolt. you can't. Oh my god. Budget-minded players will definitely want this for EDH, but in Pauper, probably not. Next, we have Deceive the Messenger. It has Amass Orcs 1. There has been an update to the Amass mechanic, and basically any army you create from Amass, it's just like one big unit now. So, like, say in War of the Spark, where you create a zombie army, and here in Lord of the Rings, if you create an orc army, they become a zombie orc army. It becomes one cohesive unit. It's just an army that keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger the more you cast spells that allow you to amass. But otherwise, this will not see play in Pauper. It's just a battle trick for draft. No. Next, we have Dreadful as the Storm, a 3 mana instant where target creature gains base power and toughness 5/5 until end of turn. This would have been good if it was 2 mana, but at 3, probably not. And even with the tempt mechanic, this is like the second card that does that. Yeah, I don't see this any. I don't see this. I don't think I'll see this will see any play, unfortunately. It's a good card though. It allows you to like survive combat when you otherwise wouldn't. I can definitely see some EDH decks that will love to use something like this. And then we have Glorious Gale, counter target creature spell. If it was legendary spell, the ring tempts you. So this is basically Essence Scatter for Pauper because there are no legendary creatures in at common. Come on. This would have been so good. But otherwise it's just Essence Scatter, and we already have Essence Scatter, so no. Next we have Grey Haven's Navigator, a 3-mana 3/2 flash. When enters the battlefield, scry one. Ooh. Yarok players are salivating at the mouth at this one. It has flash. What more could you possibly want? Yarok players in EDH will love to have this, but otherwise, in Pauper, probably not. Next, we have Hithlane Knots, 2 mana instant. Tap target creature, scry one, draw one. Cool. I mean, it's a really good combat trick, if I ever saw one. I can definitely see this seeing play in EDH, but in 60 card formats, probably not. Hell, even in Pauper. I don't think this will see play. Scry one, draw one for 2 mana. There are cards that I think have a better rate than this. I mean, granted, it's competing against like Ponder, Brainstorm, Preordain. So at 2 mana, you'd have in the blue cantrip suite, you'd have to do a lot in order to compete. And this, if it had like something like the ring tempts you, it'll probably be way too good. But otherwise, it's decent. But I don't think it'll see play in Pauper, sadly. In EDH, definitely. Next, we have Isolation at Orthanc. Oh my god, I will keep mispronouncing that word. 4 mana, put target creature into its owner's library, second from the top. At 4 mana, that is way too much mana investment, and it's just asking to be countered, unfortunately. Next, we have Ithilien Kingfisher, a 3 mana 2/1 flying. When it dies, draw a card. No, draft shaft. Next, we have Knights of Dol Amroth, 4 mana 3/3, and whenever you draw a second card each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on it. So this is basically similar to Stalwarts of Osgiliath, but this one is 4 mana for a 3/3 rather than 5 mana for a 4/3. Although, I guess for 1 more mana, the ring will tempt you? Really? Probably question mark. I guess if you're in draft, I guess I see like these two guys being played alongside each other, but otherwise probably no. Let's just move on to the next card. I don't think this will see play. Next, we have Lorien Revealed, a 5 mana sorcery, draw 3. Otherwise, it has island cycling. No. Next, we have Nimrodel Watcher, a 2 mana 2/1. Whenever you scry, Nimrodel Watcher gets +1/+0 until end of turn, and it cannot be blocked, but only triggers once each turn. So this entire set has like subs. I mean, we're like not even halfway through the set, but there's a lot of scrying involved, and this is definitely like one of your toppers in blue. It's just like your main aggro threat for draft in blue, but otherwise I don't think this will see play in Pauper. Next, we have Pelargir Survivor, a 2 mana 1/3, and it's a mana dork for instants and sorceries. Oh, cool. And then for 5 in the blue, target player mills 3 cards. So if you have an untap effect in EDH, you can basically mill somebody out. Otherwise, this will unfortunately not see play. Next, we have Soothing of Smeagol. Ugh, I do not want that to happen to me. Return target non-token creature to its owner's hand. Wow, they knew what they were doing with that one. And then the ring tempts you. Yeah. Um, this is like they knew what they were doing when they said non-token creature, because this would be way too abusable if it just bounced any creature. Yeah, if it just said return target creature to its owner's hand, the ring tempts you, and then you can have like they knew what they were doing, because Snapcaster Mage is a thing in 60 card formats, and if you could just return Snapcaster Mage to hand and then replay it again just to replay Soothing of Smeagol, that will keep advancing your the tempt mechanic down further levels. And yeah, you can only, oh my god, yes, because oh my god, because you can return, did I just make, oh my god, did I just make a combo, quote unquote? We'll move to the next card. Surrounded by orcs. Amass 3, target player mills X, where X is the amassed army's power. So if you created a big army, your target player will mill a lot, but otherwise, no. Next, we have Treason of Isengard, a 3-mana sorcery. Put up to one target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard on top of your library. Amass Orcs 2. No, it's way too slow. Next, we have Willow Wind, a 5-mana 3/4 flying. When it enters the battlefield, scry 2. No. Now we move on to the black cards. The black... the Black Breath. I feel like whenever I feel... oh my god. I choked a little there. Oh my god. There we go. The Black Breath, which is like one of the that's like the most metal name I've seen out of this set so far. Granted, probably a lot of the black cards here are gonna be like metal as fuck. Creatures you control, your opponent's control, get -1/-1 until end of turn. The ring tempts you. Ooh. Right off the bat, we have a tempt mechanic in black. I mean, I think it's to be expected. -1/-1 is like really good in sweeping up the smaller decks that have smaller creatures, but otherwise, they're like more efficient options than this one. The tacked on fact of the tempt mechanic, I don't think this will see too much play. Next, we have Kirith Ongol Patrol. A 5-mana 4/5. That's a really slow sack outlet, unfortunately. I mean, granted, you draw a card and create a food. There are probably decks that can abuse this in EDH, but in Pauper, this is just way too slow. 5 mana is a bit much. Hell, even for EDH, 5 mana is a bit too much. You would rather do something more with 5 mana in EDH than a slow than a slow sacrifice outlet. Next, we have Claim the Precious, a kill spell for 3 mana where the ring tempts you by destroying target creature. Well, that's a bit too flavorful, horrifyingly flavorful in my eyes. But no, being a sorcery is what basically kills the card. Then again, if it were an instant, it would probably be way too good. Next, we have Dunland Crabane, a 3-mana 1/1 flying. When it enters the battlefield, amass Orcs 2. No. Same with Easterling Vanguard. When it dies, amass Orcs 1. These two probably go hand in hand. For like if you want to amass a lot of orcs, but otherwise, not in Pauper. Next, Haunt of the Dead Marshes, a 1-mana elf, nightmare elf at that. When it enters the battlefield, scry 1, return it to the battlefield only if you control a legendary creature. Man, if it didn't have that sentence, then again, if it didn't have that sentence, it would be way too broken. Because you can just Dark Ritual it back out immediately if you could. Yeah. Next, we have Lash of the Balrog, a 1-mana sorcery. Okay, destroy target creature, and here we see Gandalf being pulled down by the Balrog. Oh my god, yeah, I remember that scene very, very well, and to see it be given card form here, it's just mwah. And then, oh my god, even as the Balrog fell, it swung its whip, and the thongs lashed and curled about Gandalf's knees, dragging him to the brink of the abyss. Wait, I have to say this with like the gusto that Ian McKellen did during his time as Gandalf. Fly, you fools! He cried, and he was gone. Oh my god, this is so nostalgic, but not because of the game and Magic the Gathering, but because I grew up watching these movies ad nauseum. I loved Lord of the Rings back in the day, but I'm not too big a fan. There are people who have a bigger claim to that. Next, we have Mirkwood Bats. This is a card that the Pauper committee is surprisingly excited for. because it's a 4 mana 2/3, so it blocks pretty well, but it dies to lightning bolt and other like red base removal. But otherwise, whenever you create or sacrifice a token, each opponent loses 1 life. So this is basically a non-attacker that slowly drains your opponent. And you don't need to activate anything. Just sacrifice or create tokens. Again, if it was just whenever you sacrifice a token, each opponent loses 1 life, nobody would bat an eye. But because your opponent will lose life by virtue of you just creating tokens. This is absurd. Okay, and there's an even more absurd card later on. I'll get to it when I get to it. But this card, I will definitely watch out for this one moving forward. But 4 mana is a bit much. But it's in black. You can just dark ritual it out. Then we have Mordor Muster, a 2 mana sorcery, draw card, lose one, amass orcs one. So it's a 2 mana, draw one, lose one, and then you get a 1/1 in exchange. No. It's a sorcery as well. No. It's competing with Knight's Whisper, which was reprinted in the Commander set for Lord of the Rings, unfortunately. Next, we have Mordor Trebuchet. It's a 1/4 defender. Whenever you attack with one or more goblins and or orcs, create a 2/1 colorless construct artifact creature token with flying named Ballistic Bowler that's tapped and attacking. Sacrifice it at the end of combat. That is really cute. This will definitely see play in the red black orc and or goblin draft archetype, because this is like a sneakily good support piece for that draft deck. And hell, even in EDH, I can definitely see this like I can see this like on the table in a deck somewhere, because it's cheap. Of course. I mean I mean it in monetary value, because it basically like swings for 2 every time you just attack. And there are more goblins than there are orcs in this game right now, and there are more good goblins than there are good orcs, unfortunately. But yeah, if your opponents don't deal with this soon, they'll basically be swinging for 2 every turn, and this is definitely something to watch out for in EDH. But Pauper, probably not. Next, we have Morgul Knife Wound for 1 in the black. Enchant creature. Enchant creature gets -3 mana, so at the beginning of your upkeep, exile it unless you pay 2 life. So it's basically a really slow exile effect in black. And black is getting more and more exile effects these days. And although 2 life might not seem much, it definitely adds up over time. I can, in my personal opinion, I can definitely see mono black rocking something like this, especially when they need to deal with creatures that they cannot so easily deal with their -X effects. Although 2 life is a too small a price to pay, but it definitely adds up over time. Next, we have Nasty End. This is another like version of Deadly Dispute, but the bonus it gets is if you sacrifice a legendary creature instead. But unfortunately, there are no legendary creatures in Pauper, so this is just 2 mana, sacrifice a creature, draw 2 cards. As if we didn't have enough of those effects already. This will definitely see play, like no doubt about it. Next, we have Orcish Medicine, an instant for 2 mana. Target creature gains your choice of lifelink or indestructible until end of turn. The obligatory lifelink / indestructible black spell for the draft format. Otherwise, no. Next, we have Sam's Desperate Rescue. Return target creature from your graveyard to your hand. The ring tempts you. That's actually really damn good for 1 freaking mana. Just 1 mana, return a creature from graveyard to your hand. I will definitely rock this in my Crick deck. It's just 1 black pip. I can definitely see this in decks that can rock it in EDH. Next, we have Shelob's Ambush, obligatory battle tech in black. No, not in Pauper. Next, we have Snarling Warg, 4 mana, 3/4 with Menace, as long as you control a goblin or orc. Snarling Warg gets +1/+0, so it's a 4 mana, 4/4. But you need to control a goblin or orc. But having it be a 4 mana 3/4 at its face, I personally think that's decent, and the menace to top it all off, but it'll definitely remove at least 2 of your opponent's creatures, or hell, even 1. And it'll force your opponent to block with 2 things, and it gets even better at combat if you control the goblin or orc. So yeah, something to look out for, but not exactly a high priority. Next, we have the Torment of Golem, a 4 mana sorcery. It's a discard spell that has amass orcs too. So too slow for a discard spell, unfortunately. Next, we have the Troll of Khazad-dûm, 6 mana, 6/5, and it can't be blocked except by 3 or more creatures. This is a reanimation target if I ever saw one. You need to have it be blocked by 3 creatures, and if you're in a reanimator deck, this is essentially like a removal spell. I can definitely see the sea play, and it has swamp cycling, so it even has a way to send itself to the graveyard. So yeah, there's that. Definitely watch out for this one. All right, the last form before we move on to the next page, we have Uruk-hai Berserker. Ah, yeah, this is also like another one of those the Ring Tempts You cards. I think there were like 4. One Uruk-hai Berserker, Sam's Desperate Rescue. What else here? Look, Claim the Precious and the Black Breath. All right, yeah. 4 cards as well in black, and I'm assuming also in blue there are also 4 blue cards at common that give the Tempt mechanic. So yeah. Now for Uruk-hai Berserker, there's also like there were murmurs that this little guy will see play in Pauper, simply because you can Dark Ritual him out on turn 1, and he will be your ring better. As if the black X, or hell, even mono black decks didn't need any more help. I mean, we got this guy right here. So yeah, they should just ban Lotus Petal, but a lot of decks are going to die and significantly change their structures solely because of that ban, should it ever come to that. But otherwise, yeah, those are all the black cards, and now we move on to the red ones. First off, we have Battle Scarred Goblin, a 2 mana 2/2. When he becomes blocked, it deals 1 damage to each creature blocking it. This seems innocuous, but this is actually a really good attacker, and hell, even yeah, this is actually a really damn good attacker. So if you force your opponent to block it with 2x1s, it's basically an even trade, and it's really. I personally like it, but I don't think it'll see too much play. Next, we have Breaking of the Fellowship, a 2 mana sorcery. Target creature and opponent controls deals damage equal to its power to another target creature that player controls, and the ring tempts you. So I think this it might have been mine. It should be mine. Give it to me. Yeah. This was when Boromir was tempted by the ring, and everything went downhill from there. But I don't think this will see play in Pauper, unfortunately. Next, we have Cast It into the Fire. Destroy it. I didn't say that right, but yeah, that's how the line goes. Yeah, Cast into the Fire, 2 mana instant. Exile. The most important part of the text here is it exiles an artifact. So, affinity players are shaking in their boots right now the moment they saw this card. Like, Jesus Christ, exile target artifact. This is basically a budget dust to dust, which is a card that has been creeping up in price because a lot of white X decks need dust to dust, and usually their supporting color is red, so this is definitely a more budget option if they can't get their hands on a dust to dust. So move on to the next page and let's see what we get. Next we have Erebor Flamesmith, a 2 mana 2/1 dwarf artificer. Ooh. And whenever you cast an instant source, oh my god. As if Spellslinger decks in EDH that already have enough toys that do this kind of effect, we get another one. Oh my god. And it's lower on the curve as well. Oh my god. Prepare to see stuff like this in the future. Although it's a 2/1, it dies to farmer removal, but in Pauper, oh my god, you can oh my god, burn decks. Oh my god. Whenever you cast an insertion, it doesn't block as well as the other ones, but oh my god, I can definitely see this guy see play. Lady, I'm sorry, ma'am. I didn't see see it that well over there. Next we have Fire of Orthanc, 4 mana sorcery. No, this is way too slow, unfortunately. Sorcery, no. Next we have Gimli's Axe. He will unfortunately not give it to you. 3 mana equipment, target creature gets +3/+0, and then if it's legendary, it has menace. The fact that you need to have a legendary creature for it to have menace, that's what breaks this card for me, unfortunately. But otherwise, equipment-based decks would love to have this card in EDH, but in 60-card formats, probably no, since most of the creatures that kill in 60-card formats are non-legendary creatures. There are exceptions here and there, but more often than not, it's the non-legendary ones that do the job. Next, we have Gimli's Fury. I can reading it right now. Target creature is +3/+2, and then if it's legendary, gains trample. So if you're a feather player, this is like really, really damn good. The +3 is like you'd want to have as many +3s as possible in feather, and this is a really good one to get it. Next, we have Haradrim Spearmaster, a 3 mana 2/3 and with reach, and then at the beginning of combat on your turn, another target creature. So it buffs another creature up so that they can survive combat better. Unfortunately, I don't think this will see too much play. Although it has reach, surprisingly. So if the loading ready run nickname series were up and running, they would definitely say, and the surprise reach award goes to Haradrim Spearmaster for some reason. Even I'm surprised. Why does this guy have reach? In the south, the Haradrim are moving, and fear has fallen on all our coastlands. By Hirgon, errand rider of Gondor. Next, we have Improvise Club. This is another one of those spells. Oh my god, yeah. I was going over this with a friend of mine who plays Pauper religiously, and he says that Affinity or hell, even Kuldoth Red will definitely use this as a kill spell, essentially, because sacrificing an artifact or creature is like essentially no cost to them. And then it deals 4 damage to any target. So this is definitely like if Affinity has been running Fling for the longest time, and they don't need to run Fling anymore because this is just like straight up 4 damage. Boom. You don't need to do too much now. Oh my god. Oliphant, my favorite creature in Lord of the Rings. I don't know why, but there's just something about elephants that in Lord of the Rings that I really, really like. This is also like another a really, for me at least, it's a good reanimation target, but it has mountain cycling, and most of the reanimation decks in Pauper are like red black based. So this alongside the Olog, was it called? This is Olog High. I think the other one was a troll. Yeah. Um those two, I can definitely see those two seeing play in Pauper the animated decks, but again, they have to compete with the thing that killed the animated decks in the first place, and that's Cast Down. Next, we have Olog High Crusher, 4 mana 4/4, and can't attack or block unless you control an goblin or orc. I mean, you're not gonna use this guy for blocking duty anyway because it's a super on curve creature, and it has trample even. So this is just something that you just go attack, 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 attack. And probably for draft, but not in Pauper. Next, we have Quarrel's End, a 3 mana discard spell that also creates a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. No, that 3 mana for this effect is a little too slow for me because there are like other spells that do this for 2 mana, and like it doesn't do, and it's just as good. 1 more mana just to create a 1/1. That's what breaks this card for me, unfortunately. Next, we have Rally at the Hornburg, 2 mana sorcery, where it just creates. Well, it would have been just good if it created 2/1/1s, but then it says here humans you control gain haste until end of turn. This is a kill spell if I ever saw one. And this basically goes in like every human's deck ever. It just blank. It's just blank. Like haste blanket. It blankly. Oh my god! It just, I say blankly. It just blanket gives haste. There we go. I said the sentence properly. Blanket gives haste to all humans. That's insane. And it's only 2 mana for a freaking sorcery. I mean, granted, 2 mana. If you're going to cast this in EDH, you're usually casting this as like your kill spell. Oh wait, no. Humans you control. Only humans you control. So any new human that enters after you cast a spell will not have haste. Unfortunately, otherwise this is like a really good kill spell. For more budget-minded players because they're like better stuff at the higher rarity and or more expensive end of things. But yeah, definitely keep an eye out for this one in EDH. Next, we have Relentless Rohirrim, a 4 mana 4/3. When it enters the battlefield, the ring tempts you. Oh my god, it took us this long to have. I think it's this is the second one that has the temp mechanic on it. I guess there are like 4 cards per, yeah, and right next to it, Rohirrim Lancer. When it dies, the ring tempts you. Yeah, there's like 4 cards per color that grant the temp mechanic, and these two, this is like surprisingly good because it's a 1 mana 1/1 with menace, and not all decks can like put down 2 X1s on turn 2, and this guy will definitely get like 1 or 2 points of damage in before it ultimately dies, and then once it dies, any second or third creature you put on the board after that, you will be hurting better. And that's actually amazing. I can definitely see the Lancer seeing play, but the Relentless Rohirrim probably no. Next, we have Rush the Room, an instant. Target creature gets +1/+0 and gains first strike. If it's a Goblin or Orc, it also gains haste. It's cute, but no. Next, we have Smite Deathless, a 2 mana instant where it deals 3 damage to target creature and it loses indestructible until end of turn. And if it would die, exile it instead. And I am no man. I don't remember exactly what the Witch King said here, but this is very, very flavorful, by the way, because this spell by itself kills the Witch King of Angmar, which is a mythic creature that has exactly 3 toughness, and it has a discard clause where it will grant itself indestructibility. This spell kills the Witch King of Angmar. Assuming the person controlling the Witch King doesn't have any more discard fodder because it's an unbound discard outlet. Assuming they don't have any more cards to discard, the Witch King just straight up dies to this, and that's an amazing, amazing flavor call. Just mwah, just thumbs up on that one. Next, we have the Swarming of Moria. A 3 mana, create a treasure token, amass orcs to no. Next, we have War Beast of Gorgoroth carrying Grund, 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 Grund. A 5 mana beast, 5 mana 5/4. Whenever it or another creature you control with power 4 or greater dies, amass orcs to. Oh my god! As metal as this is, unfortunately, we'll not see any play. This is just probably for draft. Now the green cards, Bag and Porter. This is like one of the most useless cards in the Pauper format because it will only get its buff if you control a legendary creature. Well, multiple legendary creatures at that. And no, this isn't even draft chaff, man. This is like pick number 30. No, wait, no, not even pick 30. There are like, if there are 15 cards in a booster pack and around like 12 of them are usable, this is like pick number 36. If you literally have nothing else to pick, back end porters like there. This is like one of the worst comments I've ever seen in a long while. Next, we have Bomba del Song. Target creature you control gets +1/+1 and hexproof. And then the ring tempts you afterwards. Bogles and Infect would love to have this as their tempt mechanic card, and I'm assuming there's a couple more somewhere down the line. Next, we have Brandywine Farmer, a 3 mana 1/1. When it enters or leaves the battlefield, create a food token. Enters or leaves. That is wording that is extremely abusable in Commander. So if you wanted to create a lot of food tokens, this is the card to get at, and it's at common, by the way. So it's going to be really, really cheap because it will not see play in Pauper, but it will definitely see play in Commander. Next, we have Chance Met Elves, a 3 mana 3/2. Whenever you scry, put a +1/+1 counter on the elves, and then this ability only triggers once each turn. I guess they knew what they were doing by giving it this ability only triggers once each turn clause, because if you could do it infinitely, this could become infinitely larger, and Watsy doesn't want that. Next, we have quite possibly the most busted green card in a long ass while. For, you know what, I'm gonna zoom in like so much because I want you guys to realize that just how good this freaking card is. If I can, oh, okay, that's the most I can zoom in. 500%. There we go. Elven Farsight. Okay, you guys can read it, right? It's 1 mana, 1 green mana for a sorcery. Okay, it's really slow, but then you scry 3, then you may reveal the top card of your library. It's a creature card, you draw a card. It doesn't sound like much. And then you realize that this actually digs 4 cards deep. Because the Scry 3, and then off of the top 3, you don't see a creature, just bottom all of them, and hopefully you flip a creature off of the 4th card. Otherwise, you can. Scry 3 is really, really deep. This is green preordain. Okay? This is green preordained. As if green didn't already have enough. Elven Farsight is absurdly powerful. Okay, this is something that you will, apart from Reprieve, which is a white uncommon getting a counter spell. Now you have green getting preordained. This card is busted beyond belief, and I will not be surprised if I will see this in most, if not all, green decks moving forward. Keep a very, very close eye on this one because this card is absurd. Now we're going to move back to 150% after that really, really energetic analysis there. Next we have Enrage Horn. I hope that's how you pronounce it. It's a 3-folk. 5 mana 4/5, and when it enters the battlefield, the ring tempts you. Short and simple. And remember, whenever it enters the battle, so if you can blink this, yeah, my god, I'm just realizing, there are a lot of good toys for Yarok here. Yarok, or hell, even Rune of the Hidden Realm. Basically, a lot of like ETB style creatures here. If they can enter the battlefield, Yarok and or Rune will like abuse the fuck out of them. See this in Commander moving forward, but in Pauper probably not. Ent's Fury, sorcery, the obligatory green fight spell. Although it's a permanent buff, and it's only targets creatures that have power 4 or greater, and green doesn't have like no shortage of those. So it's basically a +2/+2, and the +1/+1 is one of the +1/+1s is permanent. Unfortunate will not see play. Next we have Galadrimbo, a 3 mana artifact equipment with flash. And then it just attaches to a creature control, and it will give them +1/+2 and reach. A little too slow. 3 mana is a bit. It's just asking for too much, unfortunately. Next we have Galadrim Guide. When it enters the battlefield, scry 2. No. Next we have Generous Ant, a 6 mana 5/7. The forest cycling is the one that matters here, but yeah, 6 mana for this effect. We have Scurry Oak in MH2 that does what this guy hell, it even has like nearly identical art. This guy is like facing to his right, while Scurry Oak is like facing to the left. I don't think this will see too much play. I mean, it has reach, so it's a good blocker. But otherwise, no. Next, we have Lothlorien Lookout, a 2 mana 1/3, and whenever it attacks, scry 1. I mean, it's a 2 mana 1/3. Sort of on curve for the elf decks, but otherwise, no. Next, we have Many Partings, a sorcery, and it's just search land, put it into hand, and make a food token. Ooh. It's really good. Lay of the Land style effects have always been hit or miss for me, but this one, just make a food token for decks that can support it. I mean, yeah, sure, why not? But otherwise, I don't think this will see play. I may be wrong though. Next, we have Mirkwood Spider, the obligatory spider of the set. Whenever it attacks, target legend that. If it did, then again, if it did say that another target creature will gain Death Touch, it will probably be way too good. So yeah, having it only be able to target legendary creatures to give it the Death Touch. Yeah, watching what they were doing with that one. Next, we have Mirror Guardian, a 3 mana 4/2. When it dies, the ring tempts you. So this is our, I think, 3rd card that gives us the temp mechanic in green. So we have one more somewhere down the line, unless it's like not here. Oh, I guess that's the 4th one. But yeah, 3 mana for 4/2, which is just asking to die, so you can tempt it. So you can be tempted, I mean. Next we have Mushroom Watchdogs. Sacrifice food, put a +1/+1 counter on it. It gains vigilance until end of turn. Of course, it'll gain vigilance because it's high off the shrooms. All right, next, Pippin's Bravery. I've heard murmurs of this thing potentially seeing play because the +4/+4 is nothing to be ignored. Especially if you have like spare food laying around, especially with the card just above it, many partings. If you use that to create a food token the turn before, and then you use this to pump whatever creature that needs pumping. Again, +4/+4 is big, and the decks can support it. Again, though granted, there are like more efficient ways to give a +4/+4 that don't ask for a setup. I mean, on its floor, it's a +2/+2, but the ceiling is absurd. But I don't think this will see too much play because it's competing with a lot of like other green pump spells that do what it does, but more efficient or asks for less. Next, we have Revive the Share, a 2 mana sorcery. Return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand to create a food token. This is just strictly better regrowth. This is so goddamn good. I will definitely not be surprised if this will see play in Commander, as regrowth style effects in Commander are very very popular. Next, we have Shower of Arrows, the obligatory destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying in the set. Scry 1, draft, this just for draft. Next, we have Woe's Pathfinder, a 2 mana 1/1 that is a human shaman. And add 1 mana of any color, and then for 6 and tap, another target creature gets +3/+3 and gains trample at the end of turn. No. No, just no. Now we move on to the artifacts. There are only 4 here, but I'll discuss this one when we get to it. Inherited Envelope, a 3 mana artifact. When it enters the battlefield, the ring tempts you, and add 1 mana of any color. If you can blink this, you can just have the ring. You can definitely have not just have the ring tempt. You can have the ring tempt you multiple times if you can cycle this into and out of play. So this is something for the artifact-based decks, like all across Commander, can use as their way to have the ring tempt them. Although granted, they're more efficient options, higher up on the rarity side of things and or price tag even. But this is something to look out for. All right. This is another card that deserves the 500% zoom in. I don't usually do this, but this card right here. Okay, I want you all to listen. Spare Supplies is a card from the I believe the Baldur's Gate set. Okay, that enters tapped, and that has an activated ability where you draw a card. Okay, this Lembas is a strictly better version of it. Why? Because for 2 mana, whenever it enters the battlefield, you just scry 1 and draw a card. Okay, then you sacrifice it, gain 3 life. Of course it does, because it's a food token, or rather, it's an artifact food. Okay, but it's a food token that you can put in your deck. And you want to know, if it stopped right there, it would have just been an average card. Okay, but WotC had to put that line of text where when it's put into a graveyard from the battlefield, its owner shuffles it into their library. Okay, you think that's balanced? Absolutely, absolutely. But do you think it's still broken? Yes, it is, because the decks that don't really care if this thing stays on the battlefield for too long, they will abuse the fuck out of the fact that this thing can shuffle itself back every time it's put into the graveyard from the battlefield. Affinity decks, they sacrifice their own artifacts for gain and profit. Initiative decks, they do essentially the same thing. Hell, even Kuldotha Red, if they can find the slots for it, they can potentially use this. Or hell, even any deck that can use artifacts and abuse it. Hell, even Tron, they can easily cast this and just sacrifice it, no problem. Like decks that can abuse this piece of bread of all things. Apart from Elven Farsight, like this card, I can see the seeing play everywhere, and I mean everywhere. And now we're going to go back to 150% zoom because we are nearly done here. Ooh, I wonder what these guys are. Oh, because they're vanillas. That's nice. I wonder why they're placed here. But yeah, we go to Shire Scarecrow. No. Wizard's Rockets is also another card that a lot of people are surprisingly excited for. because it enters the battlefield, tap yes, and then X and tap it, sacrifice it, add X mana in any combination of colors. So it's a really good mana sink for the Tron decks. And then when it's put into the graveyard from the battlefield, you just draw a card. So it's a slow mana rock, but if you can manage to sink like 8 mana into it, or hell, even 7 mana, which is the magic number for Tron, you can definitely pop off with this really hard. Although I've seen chatter about this card in Pauper communities, and they say that this is only like a one of, or hell, maybe even at most a three of, but not maxing out on it, because it's a little too slow, and there are like more efficient ways of doing what this guy does. And yeah, those are like all of the cards out of this set, and there are like two cards that are like absurd out of this deck, or rather out of this set: Elven Farsight and Lembas. Like these two cards, if these two don't like shake up the format significantly, I don't know what will. Like, these two cards are way too good. If I don't see, I don't know if it will be enough to like push for bans, but I can definitely see a lot of like decks that can support these two cards running it. Oh, and I almost forgot. There's like one common land he forgot to mention, Shard Terrace. Um, I can definitely see this either being run alongside, or hell, even sometimes completely replacing Ash Barons. Because if you need it to tap for mana, it's just there on the battlefield. But if you don't need it anymore, you need to fix your colors, you can just sack it and just get another basic land. So yeah, I can definitely see this seeing play in more control-based decks, to either filter their mana if they don't need it if they need to do so, or hell, if they even just need the shuffle effect. I can definitely see this seeing play, but otherwise, um, Lambas and Elven Farsight, like these two cards, if I don't see them at your local tables anytime soon, what the hell are you even doing? So yeah, that's my Pauper set review for this set, and again, Elven Parting, or rather Elven Farsight and Lembas. If I don't see these anywhere, what? Why? Why are you even? These two cards are just objectively powerful, and you should run them when you can. So yeah, if you like what you saw, hit like, comment, subscribe, and share it among your friends. And until next time, toodles.